This is DD India and you're watching Express News, a program where we bring you top 100 news of the day. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Let's begin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telephonic conversation on Monday with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Prime Minister Modi conveyed India's consistent position on the need for an early and peaceful resolution of the conflict. The Ministry of External Affairs said on Monday that India's attention has been drawn to remarks reportedly made by Pakistani Chief of Army Staff while on a visit to the US. India responded saying that it will not give in to nuclear blackmail and will continue to take all steps necessary to safeguard national security. The MEA said that the international community can draw its own conclusions on the irresponsibility inherent in such remarks, which also reinforce the well-held doubts about the integrity of nuclear command and control in a state where the military is hand in glove with terrorist groups. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated 184 newly constructed Type 7 multi-story flats for members of Parliament in New Delhi on Monday. During the event, Prime Minister planted a sindoor sapling at the Parliamentary and residential premises and also interacted with labourers on the occasion. Addressing the event, Prime Minister Modi said that naming the towers after India's major rivers reflect their life-giving and unifying significance, promoting national unity despite potential political misinterpretations. Further, Prime Minister Modi said that the gathering of MPs from across the country in the premises will reflect the spirit of unity and Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. Prime Minister Modi added that this initiative is aligned with the nation's pro-environment and future-safe approach. In a press conference, Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat said that the Indian tricolour instills the same pride in citizens today as it did in the past when freedom fighters carried it as a symbol of India's fight for sovereignty. The lower house of India's Parliament passed the National Sports Governance Bill 2024 and the Anti-Doping Amendment Bill 2025. The bill will pave the way for better governance and welfare of the sporting community in India. The Lok Sabha also passed the Income Tax No. 2 Bill 2025 and the Taxation Laws Amendment Bill 2025 aimed to streamline the income tax laws in India. The Rajya Sabha, or the upper house, passed the readjustment of the representation of scheduled tribes in assembly constituencies of the state of Goa Bill 2025. Replying to a question in the lower house on Monday, Union Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav said that the government is implementing the integrated development of wildlife habitat scheme for the protection, conservation and management of wildlife habitats across the country. The Chief of Australian Army, Lieutenant General Simon Stewart, who is on a 5-day visit to India, received a ceremonial Guard of Honour at the South Block Lawns in New Delhi on Monday. The visit marks a significant reunion of two military professionals whose shared past strengthens the foundation of India-Australia defence ties. Lieutenant General Stewart laid a wreath at the National War Memorial in New Delhi, honouring fallen soldiers of India. 17 MOUs were signed today between BSNL and major technology companies Ericsson, Qualcomm, Cisco, Nokia for digital skilling initiatives at Jabalpur. The MOUs were signed in the presence of Union Minister of Communications Jyotiraditya Scindia. The agreements are for digital skilling initiatives and will be formalized at the Bharat Ratna Bhim Rao Ambedkar Institute of Telecom Training in Jabalpur. The domestic cargo terminal at Guwahati's Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloi International Airport has set a new record, handling 952 metric tons of cargo in July, the highest ever. Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan distributed crop insurance claims worth over 3,200 crore rupees to more than 30 lakh farmers during an event in Rajasthan on Monday. We're heading for a short break here in Express News. We'll be back in just a bit. Stay tuned to DD India.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
That's exactly what to save your.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high.
Welcome back. You're watching Express News on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Let's resume. US stock indices were little changed on Monday as investors geared up for a busy week, while major chip companies seemed caught in the middle of the latest twist in trade policy ahead of the August 12th deadline. India's central bank, the RBI, has announced that authorized dealer category 1 banks can now open special rupee Vostro accounts for overseas correspondent banks without prior approval from the bank. The move is aimed to enhance efficiency in country-to-country transactions and promote the use of Indian currency in global trade. Indian equity indices ended on a strong note on Monday. The Sensex at the BSE added 746 points to close at 80,604. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange added 222 points to settle at 24,585. At the Forex market, Indian rupee fell 8 paise to close at 87 rupees 66 paise against the US dollar. Gold futures maturing on October 3rd were priced at 100,675 rupees per 10 grams on the multi-commodity exchange. Silver futures for September 5th stood at 114,090 rupees per kilo on the MCX. Oil prices fell on Monday, extending last week's over 4% declines as investors look to talks between the US and Russia. So Brent crude fell 45 cents to $66.14 a barrel, while US crude was down 49 cents to $63.39 a barrel. Nvidia and AMD have agreed to give the US government 15% of revenue from sales to China of advanced computer chips, a US official said on Sunday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defended a newly approved Gaza city plan, calling it the best way to end the war. Addressing international media on Sunday, he said that Israel must defeat Hamas, citing their refusal to disarm. He also outlined his plan, saying his aim is not to govern Gaza. United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting to address Israel's decision to expand its military operations and take control of Gaza City. The session, that was requested by several European members, focused on the worsening humanitarian crisis and remaining hostages. Addressing other diplomats, Palestinian UN Ambassador Riyad Mansour stated that the words were not enough to stop the harm. Israeli Ambassador Jonathan Miller countered the characterization of Israel as the aggressor, noting that their objective was to liberate Gaza from a brutal terror regime. The United States, a veto-wielding permanent member of the Security Council, accused those nations who supported Sunday's meeting of actively prolonging the war by spreading lies about Israel. Australia announced that it will recognize the Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Monday. Albanese added that he has received assurances from the Palestinian Authority that there would be no role for the terrorists of Hamas in any future Palestinian state. Israel's military has issued a statement saying it targeted and killed Hamas terrorist Anas al-Sharif, who posed as an Al Jazeera journalist in a strike on Sunday. The IDF added that intelligence and documents from Gaza, including rosters, terrorist training lists and salary records, proved that al-Sharif was a Hamas operative integrated into Al Jazeera. Italy launched the first airdrop of its Gaza humanitarian mission, Solidarity Path Operation 2. It will continue over the coming days, ensuring that all aid is fully delivered. A senior official from the UN nuclear watchdog will visit Iran for talks on Monday to determine a framework for cooperation between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency. The head of EU Diplomatic Service, Kaja Kallas, called a meeting of EU foreign ministers to discuss the upcoming Russia-US summit on Ukraine and will also review developments in the Middle East and Gaza. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky won diplomatic backing from Europe and the NATO alliance ahead of the Russia-US summit this week. He said that any decisions taken without Ukraine will be stillborn and unworkable. In an interview on Sunday, US Vice President J.D. Vance said that the US was working to schedule talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. North Korea denounced a major joint exercise planned by the South Korean and US militaries for August 18th as direct military provocation and warned of counteraction. South Korea and Vietnam pledged deeper economic and strategic cooperation as their leaders held a summit on Monday to leverage their business ties to navigate a challenging global trading environment. Vietnam said that the countries agreed to further open up their markets and expand trade to $150 billion by 2030, adding Vietnam welcomed an increase in investment by South Korean businesses. Indonesia and Peru have signed a free trade agreement on Monday to strengthen bilateral trade and investment relations, the leaders of both countries said at a signing ceremony in Jakarta. India's disaster response teams are working continuously to help people affected by the recent disaster in Dharali and Harshil in the northern state of Uttarakhand. Unfavorable weather impacted air services. The rescue operations are still ongoing for the 7th day since the disaster hit the region. The Indian Weather Department has predicted heavy to very heavy rainfall accompanied by thunderstorms in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh for the current week. The IMD issued orange and yellow alerts for 9 districts in Uttarakhand, warning of potential disruptions in commute due to road and rail closures, as well as interruptions in power supply. One person was killed and dozens injured in a 6.1 magnitude earthquake that struck Sindigure in western Turkey on Sunday. The quake hit with 20 aftershocks ranging from 3.5 to 4.6 magnitude and collapsed 16 buildings in Sindigure and its surroundings. Residents in Kosovo spent the weekend fighting a fierce wildfire as flames threatened to engulf homes and farmland in the region. The fire, which broke out early Saturday morning, spread rapidly across the dry terrain, fueled by scorching temperatures and strong winds. Firefighting crews and volunteers battled for a third day to contain a large wildfire sweeping through southern Italy's pine forest at Vesuvius National Park. The fire that broke out on Friday in the forested area has spread about 3 kilometers wide and has destroyed hundreds of hectares of woodland. A wildfire broke out on Scotland's capital Edinburgh on Sunday, sending plumes of smoke high into the sky and prompting emergency warnings for residents and tourists. The fire spread rapidly across dry grasslands of the landmark, which sits in Holyrood Park, just a short distance from the Scottish Parliament and the Royal Mile. Wildfires sweeping across northern Spain forced the emergency evacuation of around 1,400 people as fast-moving flames reached towns, heritage sites and major roads in the region. Sudden shift in wind direction caused the fire to accelerate dramatically, pushing it towards the towns of Cocido and the UNESCO-listed Las Medulas World Heritage Site. Spain, currently enduring another severe heat wave, is facing a surge in wildfire activity. Emergency services remain on high alert in the area. Medellin in Colombia burst into color on Sunday as the 68th Desfile de Selectores took center stage during the city's iconic Feria de las Flores, Festival of the Flowers. The event showcased the Siletera tradition, with participants carrying flower arrangements on their backs, reflecting the historical practice of transporting goods from Santa Elena to Plaza de Cisneros. Gemfields Group has sold its iconic luxury brand Fabergé Limited to US-based SMG Capital for $50 million, concluding a strategic review aimed at streamlining operations. At a studio in China's Hunan province, teacher He Yuezhuan carefully guides students in writing Nushu, a secret script created by women 400 years ago. Passed down through generations of women, the female script is now gaining popularity nationwide among Chinese women who view it as a symbol of female strength. In the misty highlands of southern Oman, men dressed in traditional robes chanted age-old poems in Jibali, a language spoken by just 2% of the population. Jibali, also known as Shehri, survived in the mountainous coastal region of Dhofar near the Yemen border. The Grape Harvest Festival started in Mexico, celebrating the first grape harvest of the season, which marks the beginning of wine production. During the month-long festival, visitors can enjoy wine tastings, food, music and other events as organized by the wineries. Scientists have discovered stone tools in South Sulawesi, Indonesia, dating back up to 1.48 million years, possibly the earliest evidence of hominins in Wallacea. Found in the Wallonia Hills, the tools suggest Homo erectus may have crossed ocean gaps from mainland Asia much earlier than previously believed. As India gears up for celebrating Independence Day on 15th August, Tiranga Yatras or tricolour parades are being held throughout the country from 9th to 15th of August. In the western state of Gujarat, a massive Tiranga Yatra was organised, drawing thousands of people. In the coastal Indian state of Odisha, renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik created a sculpture based on the theme Har Ghar Tiranga. The campaign is part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav initiative launched in 2021 to encourage people to hoist the national flag at their homes and celebrate Independence Day. A 3D patriotic film festival themed Har Ghar Tiranga opened on Monday at the Shri Fort Auditorium in New Delhi. The film festival, organised by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and National Film Development Corporation, aims to give a cinematic tribute to the country. On to entertainment news now. Paul Walter Hauser, who played the role of Mole Man in Fantastic Four, spilled Marvel secrets, admitting telling 70 to 80 people about his role, despite the studio's strict secrecy rules. A special treat for all Lumineers fan, as rock band The Lumineers is back in India for the Automatic World Tour performance. The Automatic World Tour, set to perform on 1st of February 2026 at the Huda Ground in Delhi, NCR. Lumineers fans can pre-book the tickets from 13th of August. On to sports news now. In soccer, FA Cup winners Crystal Palace defeated Premier League champions Liverpool 3-2 on penalties to win the Community Shield after an entertaining 2-2 draw at Wembley on Sunday. In Major Soccer League, host Orlando City SC routed Inter Miami 4-1 on Sunday night. Inter Miami played without superstar forward Lionel Messi, who missed his second consecutive match across all competitions with a hamstring injury. The India Under-20 Women's National Team secured qualification for the AFC Under-20 Women's Asia Cup for the first time in 20 years. In tennis, Spain's Carlos Alcaraz fought through a second-set slump to post a 3-set victory over Damir Dzumhur in his opening match of the Cincinnati Open on Sunday. Third seed Alexander Zverev found things more straightforward, winning 6-3, 6-3 against US wildcard Nishesh Basavareddy to move to the third round. In women's singles, Wimbledon winner Iga Swiatek advanced to the fourth round as upcoming opponent Marta Kostyuk was forced to withdraw. Meanwhile, French Open champion Coco Gauff battled through a tough first set to beat China's Wang Xinyu 6-3, 6-2 in the second round. In cricket, Australia defeated South Africa by 17 runs in the first T20 match in Darwin to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match T20 series. In chess, India's Nihal Sareen claimed his first win of the Chennai Grandmasters 2025 after he stunned top seed Arjun Ergyasi in a thrilling fourth-round encounter in Chennai on Sunday. In athletics, Olympian Anu Rani won the women's javelin throw title at the Indian Open 2025 World Athletics Bronze Level Continental Tour at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. India's Murali Srishankar claimed the men's long jump title with a season best jump of 8.13 meters. Sprinter Animesh Kujur, who set the national record of 20.32 seconds at the Asian Championships in May, claimed the 200-meter crown with a time of 20.77 seconds. In boxing, India finished their campaign with a haul of 14 medals in the Asian Under-19 Boxing Championships in Bangkok. And India's Ramesh Budihal scripted history by becoming the first ever Indian surfer to win a medal in the Asian Surfing Championships in Chennai. And that's it in this edition of Express News. Thank you for tuning in. Namaskar.